Ready?
Call in order to July 10th, 2025 special city council meeting is called to order. Mr. Van Zandt, will you please conduct a roll call?
We have Vice Mayor Cussler chairing the meeting, Councilman Lewandowski,
Here.
Councilman Wright. Let the record show that Mr. Welsh and Mayor Rodenroff are not with us today.
Thank you, John. Is there any public comments?
Just here to spectate.
Moving on to action items, we have no items on the agenda today, so we will move on to agenda 3. It's a lease agreement for the office space over at, here we go, on Southwest Magnolia Avenue. Obtain a motion to approve this.
I have comments.
We should get a motion.
Okay. I'll move that we review the lease, and if we so agree after the review, then approve it.
Mr. Chair, would you entertain a motion to, I withdraw my motion.
Do you want a second for discussion?
Yeah, I'll second. I'll second for discussion if you want to keep it as is.
Okay, so, discussion. In our item description for the agenda, we talk about $1,000 agreement to make modifications and updates. I don't see that anywhere in the actual lease.
It's listed at the front on the first page on the, I don't have it printed off in front of me, but it talked about additional, thank you, Wendy. I'll see if I can pull it up and point it out. There it is, hold on, lease terms, it's the very first page of the attachment, and it's listed leasehold improvements, shared cost $1,000. At the, kind of towards the bottom of that document.
Okay, so that's the only place in the whole document.
And then it's those improvements are listed further, actually towards the end.
The
in
improvements
appendix.
themselves are listed, but
Yes.
not the cost. And the shareable, is that 50/50?
I did not get a chance to follow up on that particular question when I was reviewing it. And so I just listed it at the maximum amount of 1,000 when I summarized it for the agenda item.
So that would be our cost?
Our maximum would be $1,000.
Our maximum would be, okay. I'm trying to be a good fiscal steward.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, this is the people's money, and I want to make sure we do right by them.
Yes, sir. And Councilman Lewandowski, I did not get a chance. I intended to actually call the property owner and confirm or deny if it was 500 or 1,000. I didn't get a chance to do that, so that's when I listed in the agenda, I listed it as the full 1,000.
Okay. Normally on a lease, there is a security deposit. I didn't see one here. Is that a requirement for this or not? I guess not.
I'd have to go through the document fully. I don't recall seeing it when I reviewed it.
Okay, yeah, I don't either, so that was something that I normally see. Sometimes I'll ask for first, last, and a deposit. There's no deposit, so.
I think they know the city of Keystone Heights good for our money.
Yeah, I think you're right, and that's wonderful. Just make sure, of course, when we leave, that we leave it in good shape. That'll be 2 years from now. Okay, let's go to, page 2, section 1, leased premises. Last sentence in section 1 says any special event planned by the tenant or by the Victory Way Church will be coordinated with all parties and scheduled 30 days in advance. To me, that seemed like too long. It doesn't let us react to events, and it makes us plan very far in advance. Is there any way we could reduce that?
So I just want to make sure, my understanding when we were over there talking with the property owners, if you've ever been in this facility, there's kind of a grand room or an open room that's attached to a kind of a shared kitchen. The lease area we're actually paying for, if you looked at the map, were the 3 offices, and we have access to the shared facility, which is that kitchen and office, or the large room area.
Right.
And that's what they're talking about with this is.
Understand.
We're trying to coordinate those. I just want to make sure everybody understood what we're talking about, event coordination.
Right.
So I'm sure we can follow up with them and coordinate for something shorter notice. They've been very flexible with us. I suspect this is just, common language that either their attorney pulled or they just generated.
Yeah, somebody just thought, well, that'd be great. If we had 30. And you'd like to give them 30 days notice, but I'm just thinking there are always some pop-up things or things that happen that you don't plan on, and or maybe just add in instead of saying any special event will have 30 days advance notice, say should have 30 days notice. But make some wiggle room there so that if both parties agree, meaning the church and the city, and this is for the church's benefit too, that they'd like to have an event in a week, and we don't have a problem with that, I think that's fine. And the same should be for us. If we want to have an event a week from now and they don't have a problem with it, that should be fine.
Yes, sir. I think most of that came from, as you saw this council room a week ago prior to the 4th of July, all the things that happen before a large event.
Yes.
Basically, if Miss Bell wants to leave stuff in the common area, she needs to let them know as soon as possible.
I agree.
I don't anticipate a big issue there, and as of yet, I've not heard her scheme any events to actually take place in that space. I think it would just be, if they're doing something, we need to secure all our things and vice versa.
Agreed.
So who is the lease with again?
Magnolia.
No.
Not the church.
Not the church.
Correct.
No, there's no church there. Correct, they're at least.
So the property owner that we're wanting to do the lease with, just to be clear, I'm a little uncomfortable with that. They're basically asking one of their tenants to have right of refusal to us as a city, and we're entering into a lease with them. I just gotta be honest with you. I just think that's
because I don't quite follow.
basically what it amounts to is if we didn't give them 30 days notice or they complain, that's an issue down the road. I like to see the words, we'll give them notice if possible inserted a little bit. I think that would go more along the lines of what you're saying. I kind of am a little uncomfortable about that. I don't have a problem with the lease, but I am a little uncomfortable with now we've got another party into the agreement. This is between us and the person that owns the property. And while I get they've got a church there, have no problem with that. I think we ought to accommodate them. I want some kind of language in there, and I want it to be gone over in a way that we don't have somebody come back and say we didn't honor our end of the agreement. That's just my opinion.
So just to double state back to you, Councilman, instead of should have notice in 30 days, if possible,
If possible,
provide notice in 30
if possible,
days.
get it. I would go back to Rich or something and have him, if there's any doubt as to this or any confusion, ask him how he wants it to be worded. But I don't want us to enter into something where we don't have. I mean, our agreement's with the person that owns the property. Their tenant that's leasing from them should not have a check on us. It needs to be between us and them. We'll, if possible, we'll accommodate their tenant. But if they want us to use that property and we're going to do things there, then it needs to be in our best interest.
So, from what I understand this agreement, it is shared space.
Mm-hmm.
And on Thursday nights and on Sundays, the kitchen and the hall will be used by the church.
Mhm.
So they
Yeah.
will be in there. And the trade-off the bonus that we get is by sharing that, we get a lower cost.
Mhm.
We're not renting the whole thing. We're only truly renting our 3 offices for $650. And so, to a certain extent, we do need to work with the church because they are going to be in there
That's
every
right.
single week.
I agree, but I don't want us in such a way that somebody can come back and say, we didn't keep our deal. I hope they have a pancake breakfast. I'll go down there and eat. But,
You can walk.
I will, I sure will. But I just want it on that front.
Okay. All right. Now moving on. Page 4. Section 5, item C. We are allowed designated on-site parking areas, and they will be identified by the landlord. Do we know how many? Do we know when they're going to identify these parking spaces for us? We have 3 offices. I would like 3 parking spaces, but I'd like a little more clarification if at all possible on that.
Bo, do you recall? I did not talk to them about this one.
No, so there's plenty, there's that whole empty lot next to them. There's plenty of parking there. We can identify that if need be. I'm sure they
Okay.
wouldn't have a problem saying at a minimum 3 parking spaces.
Yes, sir. And there's public parking across the street.
I'd
as
rather
well.
not do that if we can avoid that. Yeah, that's possible for visitors and that kind of thing, yeah. Okay, on page 4, also under section 6, item B, Bravo, the tenant shall be respectful and clean up after themselves in the shares used area. I believe that should be shared. So it's just a typo.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, page 5, section 11, the second paragraph under alterations, additions, improvements. It says, all additions, decorations, fixtures, hardware, and all improvements, temporary or permanent, in or upon the leased premises, owned by the tenant, whether placed there by the tenant or by the landlord, shall, unless the landlord requests a removal, become the landlord's property. So if we put up temporary Christmas decorations, those become the property of the landlord? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's what it says. He probably didn't mean it that way, but that's what it says.
I'm wondering if maybe if AI wrote this, but all I can offer is what I know to be factual. The property owner came up with his lease agreement, sent it to us. We discussed this in either May or June with the council as a group. Rich, our attorney, told me that there were standard boilerplate language for the city to have in any lease agreement that we would enter into. He's added that to it, so we can do one of 2 things. We can tweak the language as directed from the quorum assembled this morning. You guys approve it, pass it back to the property owner, make sure he's good with it, or we could continue to go through the lease as we're doing and just bring it back to you on August 4th.
So, I know it was done earlier, but I don't like to review things until everybody has had their hack on it, you know, so I didn't even look at it.
Right,
So,
everybody but the
Rich-
council has had a hack on it, and I apologize. The only reason this and the airport things are coming to you today is
Right.
because we're trying to not lose the mirror list to go do another job. We're just trying to keep items in front of you as.
Understand.
So I make a motion that we table any discussion of the lease agreement until our regular August meeting.
Okay, what I would like to do then is meet with you afterwards and share with you the rest of my comments.
Okay, so to do that, what we need is for Councilman Lewandowski to withdraw his motion and Mr. Knight to withdraw his second to the original motion, and you guys then make a different motion.
On a motion table supersede, but either way,
So I'll motion to withdraw,
second.
okay? And then I'm gonna move that we table this item until the August 4th.
Second.
Motion is tabled.
Well, we need to vote on it.
Oh, we need to vote?
Yeah, just say all in favor.
All in favor of tabling? Yeah,
Aye.
yeah, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Next agenda, are you ready? The next agenda is for the historical mural that's going to be placed on Keystone Gifts, Guns and Gifts, I was going to say bulkhead, but wall.
We don't have bulkheads.
Davey.
The entire motion to approve the update to deed restriction to the historical memorial.
I move that we approve the deed restriction removal as written.
Second.
Comments?
Comments?
Yeah, the one comment that I'll make, and it doesn't affect this at all, was we wrote this as a 10-year agreement, and 10 years is probably too little. The one in black has been there for decades, and several in black have been there for decades. To renew this or have to readdress this after 5 years, I think I don't see any reason to do that. However, it doesn't affect us. It doesn't cost us any money, and if that's what they want to do, then we'll do it in 5 years. I just want to say that there's no reason we should be doing this in 5 years again. It should be at least 10.
Yes, sir. Our original proposal was 25, and after
Yeah,
the
that's
review, they were
far more realistic. Yeah.
And
So I'll make a comment. No, maybe I shouldn't.
Let's hit the finger on
Commercial lawyers live by generating billable hours. And so if they can create work for themselves to review this after 5 years instead of 25, then they get more billable hours. But again, we're not paying the bills. Ace Hardware is, and if they're acceptable, they think their lawyer's good for this, then okay, we should sign it. It's not no skin off our nose.
Make a vote.
Mr.
Well, we already had the motion, I was just commenting.
Oh, yeah, that's just we'll take it to vote.
Yep, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 5 here, Keystone Heights Airport Authority and Clay Electric agreement. Mr. Van Zandt, would you like to comment on this?
I'm actually going to defer this to Mr. Booth. He's worked more closely with Clay Electric's engineer. And again, this was something we had discussed with you a couple of months ago, and our attorney wanted to work on the legal description.
Right, this was, I think, in May, tabled, and so the concern was that the description of the easement wasn't a legal description like you typically see at the beginning of the lease or anything like that. The area, we don't have the actual diagram, but if you look at when you're driving down Highway 100, you pass the current airport entrance. They have a new airport entrance that's been constructed. That entrance would take them to a developable area that they have in their master plan. As part of that master plan, they need to get an electrical utility out to those facilities. This easement allows the airport to work with Clay Electric, actually gives an easement to Clay Electric to install and permanently protect under the easement that electrical service to the developable area. And so this is, they actually had a surveyor go out, get the definitions of, the legal definitions of that easement. And that's now coming back before the city council because any change with the deed or legal issues with the real estate on airport property has to come to the city council and be signed off on by the city because the deed of that property is the city of Keystone Heights back from 1947 from the Department of War, transitioning to the Department of Defense at that time
They
frame.
might go back to war.
The War Department, I apologize.
Mr. Chairman, would you allow me to ask a question? All right. I just have a question. This easement that we're allowing, does that happen to touch upon any of the current easements that they have or any other things going on with runways at the airport?
My understanding is this just runs along the current road. Coordinate, this all has to be coordinated with the FAA, so there's no conflict. And this is, the active runways are, well, actually Charlie, I'll step off. Charlie knows the active runways. This is more.
This is more north of the primary and secondary runways. It doesn't go into their, any of the RPZs
Okay.
or any safety issues.
All right, thank you.
My only question is, this is located in Bradford County. So although it's on the airport and the airport is ours, understand why we're approving this. Is there any requirement to have Bradford County also approve of this, do you know?
As the property owner, working with anybody that's doing development, the only thing that likely will happen is this easement will be filed with the clerk of court in Bradford County, so it's recorded along with the deeds. That's where the county will have input, but
I see.
Visibility.
Right.
That was it. Okay.
I will entertain a motion to approve the right-of-way endorsement of Clay County and on the airport port authority.
So move.
A second?
Can you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
That's all the business we have for you.
Any
Any
other-
other discussion or comments or anything else?
Completes the special meeting.